Hello and welcome back to our channel for what is now week 8 of the Sideline Spice Power Rankings Winners and Losers Update. Brought to you courtesy of the boys at the Vault Studio. I'm Ryan, and with me on the other side is Luca. How are you?
I'm 7-1, Ryan. I'm 7-1.
Once again, we've watched the games, we've ranked the teams, and we've come away with some picks of the bunch worthy of specific discussion. And this week, in honor of our special trade deadline edition, we bring you our biggest winner and loser on and off the field, an honourable mention. And once again, as always, Luca loses it.
Yep. So a little bit different. Should be shorter and sweeter, but don't worry, we're not cutting Luca loses it. It'll still be there in all its raging glory. All right. So with that, Ryan, give us the first winner for the week.
Cool. The Houston Texans. Now, this particular team has the double bonus of being a massive winner on the field and off the field by virtue of their resounding 5th straight victory this week, a 42-23 dismantling of the Miami Dolphins and their subsequent addition of former Broncos wide receiver Demaryius Thomas. This Texans offense had already started to look like one of the most dominant in the league in the past few weeks. But this performance against a decent Miami defense really laid the gauntlet to the rest of the league in terms of what this team is capable of moving forward. With Watson throwing for 5 touchdowns from only 16 complete passes and Lamar Miller rushing for 133 yards on 7.4 yards per carry. Crazy for a plotter, as per your sort of...
A high-functioning plotter. Give him a little bit of credit.
Anyway, the addition of Demaryius Thomas to a receiving core that already boasted one of the premier talents in the league in DeAndre Hopkins only increases the potential of this team moving forward, even with the unfortunate loss of Will Fuller. All this considered, they've earned our biggest jump in the rankings, moving up to number 16, but there's probably not a single team with more potential to jump over what is now the back half of the season. Week 9 takes them to Denver to face off against the Broncos.
Yeah, so 2 things on the Texans. One, I think they should be higher. Derek's our skeptic, but I think a Week 9 win against the Broncos will convince him to put them higher. And secondly, I'd like to see the stat for completions to touchdown ratio, because Deshaun Watson is surely near the very top ever. Like, he seems to have like 10 completion games with like 6 touchdowns. Like, he did it last year.
He's second all time now through 16 games to Dan Marino.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. He's been a monster. Anyway, so our trade deadline winner for this week is the Washington Redskins, the most under-the-radar 5-2 team in history. Didn't know they were 5-2 until I looked it up, because I do not care about the NFC East on a personal level. But got to respect what they're doing on the field and off the field as well, getting Clinton-Dix for the mere sum of a 4th-round pick from the Packers. I think that's an absolute steal. They've already got DJ Swearinger. I pronounced that right? Swearinger? Yeah. Well enough. DJ Swearinger and Clinton-Dix in that secondary. It's probably a top 3 safety pairing in the NFL. And it's always handy to have that when you've got Carson Wentz in your division. They've also got a game at home against Atlanta this week, which, perfect time to bolster your safety core is when you're going up against a high-octane passing offense. I think that collectively we have the Redskins ranked too low as well. They're 17th right now. It's they probably deserve to be a little bit higher than that. Should be some correction coming in next week. But for me, they're our biggest winner of the trade deadline.
Yeah, 5-2. Wow, I didn't even realise that until you just said it then. Anyway, they probably will be much higher next week, now knowing. Our honourable mention, Adam Vinatieri. For the second consecutive week now, we're talking about a kicker.
Kickers are people too.
Despite all the odds, I mean, come on. Who expected kickers to be spoken about so much this season, good or bad? But whatever your opinion on the least heralded and most hated position in the sport, what Adam Vinatieri has done is really nothing short of honourable, to say the least. Once and for all, securing the record of the NFL's all-time leading point scorer. Seriously, who knows when this one could actually ever fall. Congratulations, Adam Vinatieri.
It's been an amazing run, and also second least glamorous position. I think holder's a little bit less glamorous than kicker.
Hey, but Brady holds sometimes.
Touche. Anyway, in terms of our losers, the Detroit Lions are our biggest loser in a week where we didn't have many losers, but they dropped 4 spots to 19. Now, they're not a loser for losing to the Seahawks. I think that the Seahawks are actually a pretty good team, and there's no shame in losing to them, even at home. However, when you're at home and your division's tight and your two biggest rivals are playing the 2 top teams in the NFC, there is literally no better time to make up ground in the divisional race. But the most bipolar team in the NFL went out with a whimper instead of a bang, losing 28-14 against the Seahawks. The biggest disparity I noticed was on the ground game. So I get that Seattle did have that 21-point second quarter. They were playing with a lead for most of the game, but they put up 176 yards on the ground, and Detroit only put up 34 at 2.6 yards per carry. Like I said, I totally get that you're passing more when you're down big, but it's not going to cut it if you can't run the ball and you become one-dimensional. Offenses are too smart, defenses are too smart, especially in the NFC North where it's like a bloodbath every single week. Next week in Minnesota is huge and could determine whether this team plays playoffs or not. To be honest, if I was a betting man, and of course I'm not, I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole because you don't know which version of the Lions you're going to get.
Yeah, and which brings us to our trade deadline loser, another NFC North team, the Green Bay Packers. Like the Texans in the winners, the Packers suffer from the double whammy of being losers both on and off the field this week. First of all, by way of losing a heartbreaking 27-29 match against the still undefeated LA Rams after Ty Montgomery strangely elected to run the ball out of the end zone on a late kickoff. More on that later, I hear. But arguably the most discouraging act of all this week was that decision to trade one of the league's best safeties in Clinton-Dix away for relative peanuts. In other words, a fourth to the Washington Redskins. There's not a single win now team that trades any of their best players for picks at any stage of the season. And there is not a single team arguably more win now than one that boasts one of the best to ever throw the ball in Aaron Rodgers. Few. The question has to be asked, is the team weaker or stronger right now? The answer is very clearly the former, and for that, they're a loser, falling to 13 in our rankings, but at serious risk of continuing downwards with a tough run of games that starts in New England on Monday.
Yeah, I have them lower personally because, like you said, it's a win-now team that made a very futuristic move, which doesn't make sense when you've got a 35-year-old quarterback who's arguably the greatest at his position. Talking about the Packers is a perfect segue to Luca loses it. So
lose it for us.
You already know who I'm going to lose it at. So Ty Montgomery, you've annoyed me so long in fantasy by stealing touches from my beloved Aaron Jones. But the one argument I've always made for you, or two rather, you can catch passes and, you can block. You're a team player. Everyone needs a pass catching, blocking, running back as a safety valve. So let me paint you a picture for those who've been living under a rock the last week. So you've got a dominant rushing performance from your colleague against the best team in the league at the moment. You grumble about your lack of involvement in the game plan. In a game that you're in, during the game, not after, during the game, you have a 2-minute drill with arguably the best to ever do it in Aaron Rodgers to go down the whole field. I think aside from maybe Brady, there's no one I would rather have in that situation. Rodgers has already done it a couple of times this year. You try to be a hero and run the ball back from inside your end zone, and then you fumble said ball at the 20, thereby sealing the win for the Rams. You are not Tyreek Hill, Ty Montgomery. The only thing you have in common is the first 2 letters of your first name. Tyreek Hill has got game-changing speed. Maybe I understand that play if you're a guy with 4.25 speed. You are probably the slowest running back in football. If not, you're certainly up there. And you try and run the ball back and be the hero, not to win your team the game. No, because if it was to win your team the game, you would have taken that damn knee and let your quarterback go to work. No, instead, you attempt to be the hero and you end up losing your team the game. And not only that, your cancerous self has now found himself traded to my beloved Baltimore Ravens. I don't care if it's for a 7th round pick. I don't want that attitude in our locker room. I can't even lose it at that. I'm just despairing. A team has enough problems as it is. So, you know what? Ty Montgomery, I've lost it at you.
That's all we have time for today.
Yeah, it is. I could go on and on and on about that. But yeah, we are running out of time. But if you've liked what you've heard or want to check out more of us, you know what to do. Leave a like and subscribe. We're halfway through a season, but I mean, we're still technically new. So, you know, we still need that subscriber count to get up there. So every small token of your support makes a big difference. Now, if you're viewing this on our friends at the Vault's Facebook feed, our YouTube channel should be linked in their comments below. If you're viewing this on our YouTube, all of our socials as well as those of the Vault Studio can be found in the description below. So that's all from us this week. Until next time.
Cheers, guys.